A lot of universities will pay attention to your high school GPA. So you got to get that high school GPA high enough to get their attention. So that's why I put it in red. Some universities, I think especially UC, which Mark will be talking about, is the so-called holistic review. And this also gets at to Dr. Sun talking about earlier, extra or co-curricular activities. So sort of like debate club, volunteer work, and so on. And it's getting more and more important, but that's not the only thing. Okay, so go ahead. Now the number 2 myth is that all college universities weight grades and standardized scores similarly. Okay, they look at a set of number, 2,300, 2,400 you get in. Well, not necessarily, depending on universities and colleges, and depending on what kind of university and colleges. Try not to keep in your head that, okay, my son has to go to MIT, my daughter has to go to Harvard and Yale. But those are Ivy League schools. But there are also liberal arts colleges, such like Harvey Mudd, like Claremont. They're just as good. Okay, top liberal arts schools. That includes some of the very good liberal arts schools. And I'm not going to go into the link. See, right now they will show you the different SAT scores. Obviously, the Ivy League would expect higher SAT combined scores than the others. For example, the UC and CSU campuses. And so they're different colleges, and also there's specifically women's colleges. You might want to consider that too. Okay, anything? Go next page. Okay, now the other myth is that a lot of parents say, well, my kids have to go to MIT because they're a good reputable school, they produce a lot of Nobel Prize winners and so on. Not necessarily. Now, I don't mean to toot my own horn because I work at Cal State Fullerton, but let's go to see if you can click on the link to Kevin Costner. He's a graduate of Cal State Fullerton. It's a state university. It doesn't require SAT, high SAT score. But he's, everybody knows who Kevin Costner is, right? He graduated from Cal State Fullerton actually in business. And it's kind of strange, interesting stories that he never thought of going to business at all. He graduated there. Suddenly, he was on the plane talking to who's afraid of it? Burton Clark. Richard Burton. And he was sitting on the plane, and he talked to him, and that's when he decided he wants to become an actor. So, go to the next one. You have the next one. Could you click on U.S. astronaut? So Kevin Costner became the actor when he got out of the airport, saw Richard Burton drove off in a red limousine. He said, well, that's what I want to do. So he became an actor. Now, Tracy Cowers graduated, came in to transfer to Cal State Fullerton in 19 Graduated in 93. She's the astronaut. How many people know that she's an astronaut? She's be flying on April 2nd. Up in space again. She's a graduate of Cal State Fullerton. So my point here, that's okay, go keep going. Yeah. Go over there. Takes that over there. Yeah. That'll take you back. Okay, there are several pictures, but I won't show you unless you're interested later on. So my point is that try not to just look at the name of the universities out where my kids have to go there because it's MIT, Harvard, Yale. Stanford, Berkeley, none of those universities, I don't know what you're going to do if the kids say, well, I don't want to go there, I want to go to UC Riverside, then what? So you got to think about all these things when you are talking to your kid about which sorry children, students, where are they going to go to college. Now, other colleges, universities may use personal statements, not all of them. Some good universities want you to write an essay. And in which they do look at your family background, especially if you talk about your first generation, your parents never gone to college, you're first generation college-going student, and you've done this, you've done that, you've worked hard, and you volunteer. They do look at those things in the statement, in the personal essay. So that is important. And that gets back to earlier talk Dr. Sun mentioned that you have to have something outside the academic in terms of extracurricular activities. Next slide, please. Number 3, the last myth. The more prestigious your institution is, the bigger the campus, the better it would be for my child. Well, that's wrong. That's totally wrong. I mean, I heard a lot of parents especially parents that's a little bit economically well off, they will take their children to travel around the country, look at campuses. That's very important too. You know, you have to get a feel. But a lot of them go to the campus, look at the buildings. They like the idea on the brick buildings. Oh yeah, I want to go there. Well, Harvard's like that. But it doesn't mean everybody can get into Harvard. So, and it's very expensive too. So when you look at a campus, it's not so much you look at the appearance, whether it has a lot of green grass or not, but you need to talk to faculty, talk to deans, talk to students, get a feel. And it's not how parents feel, because you're not going to college. You're taking your children, the students are going to college. So make sure find out how they feel about it. And do they feel like they feel like they fit in or they don't? If they don't feel fit in, guess what? They're not going to be successful. Okay, so also learning styles. Now, some universities, for example, UCLA accept the top 12.5%. So those are the students that tend to be very independent. They can go to the library, they can study. All they need is a little guidance in the classroom. Sometimes they even skip classes. So those are independent learning students. Some students, you really have to be regimented. You know, their learning style is different. They have to sit down, they have to have a quiet place. So you have to know the learning style of your children. Personal interests and career goals. You have to talk to your kids. You know, what do you want to do? You know, just because I'm in science, for example, my background is in science, in clinical microbiology. I never pushed my daughter who's going to 6th grade, Suzanne. I never pushed her to say, you have to be a doctor. I know my parents pushed me, and I heard a lot of parents push their kids, you have to be a doctor, lawyer, or engineer. So, but I never did that. And one time I asked my daughter, what do you want to go to school? UCLA. Well, that's reasonable because I graduated there. So I said, what do you want to do? I want to be a doctor. I said, what kind of doctor? Well, a doctor that takes care of little babies, little kid pediatrician. And she can't pronounce that at the time when she was a baby, like she was about 5 or 6 years old. So I never pushed her that. And so she somehow got that influence. So that's why if I didn't ask her, I thought, you know, she's good at drawing, so maybe she wants to be an art student. So you can be communicative with your student and find out what their interests, what they want to do. Now you can always guide them, you know, into at least they can make a living, you know, get a career they can make a living rather than doing something totally they want. But if that's what they want, you know, you have to make a decision to let them do it or not. Dr. Sun also mentioned earlier, they are adults now. You have to treat them like adults. They have to make a decision sometimes, so you have to let them go eventually. Resources for academic programs and student services, you have to ask those questions. Talk to a faculty, talk to a dean, vice president, or whatever in charge of academic programs. Find out what kind of support services. A lot of parents say, well, they rank very high, you know, in academically, for example, Harvard, Yale, and so on. But look at support services, meaning do they have a learning center? Do they have a tutoring center? Do they have a health center? When kids get sick, where do they go? So you have to think about that. Okay, next slide. And there's also a difference between campuses where they have residence halls versus no residence halls. Again, these are research studies showing that when there's students living in the residence halls, tend to do better in GPA. So I would recommend that for at least for the first year, if not 2 years, stay in the residence hall on campus because they don't have to worry about cooking. You don't have to worry about them not eating right. They'll be eating in the residence halls. They can use the library. They see the faculty more, so they tend to do better. This research has shown that. Now, overall fit with the campus culture, I kind of mentioned that earlier, is that you get the feeling that whether the student can fit in to the campus or not. So if it doesn't, then that's not the place you should send them. And the student characteristics, I mean, learning style and all that. Okay, so that's about all the myths. And next slide, I think that's it. Okay, thank you very much. If you have any questions, ask me later.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wang. Our next speaker is going to be regarding, I guess, a follow-up regarding Dr. Wang's talk regarding change in admission policies for UCs and out-state universities. Dr. Kamimura-Jimenez, he has come back from